Hello there and welcome to another video from Mastery Tutoring. If you like the content on this channel, please like and subscribe to this channel, which is another effortless way of helping the channel grow. As you can see from the screen, today we will be solving a grade 12 maths paper from Port Shepstone Islamic School. So the paper is based on analytical geometry as indicated here. Without further ado, we will jump on question 1. Now, in the diagram below, M and N lie on the circumference of the circle, as we can see them. Now, this statement, it means that any point that is along the circle, we tend to say that it lies on the circumference of the circle. So if I put a point here, I'll put another one there. As long as these points are on the circle itself, we say they lie on the circumference of the circle. All right. And then it says, now the circle with center P. Now we know that P is the center. So it's the center of the circle. It is also a midpoint between N and M. And form triangle MQN. Triangle MQN. NPM is a straight line. NPM is a straight line. Now the first question says determine the equation of the circle. So now to determine the equation of the circle, we start from the general form of an equation of a circle. So 1.1. The general form is given as x minus a squared plus y minus b squared is equal to r squared, where a and b, these are the coordinates of the center. Because now this is applicable when the center is no longer at the origin. Going back to the diagram, we can see that we are given that the center is P. So circle with center P. So now this simply means that A and B will be the coordinates of P, which is minus 1 and 4. So A and B is given by minus 1 and 4. Like that. And then we substitute these values. So we have x minus negative 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to r squared. And then this is the same as x plus 2 plus 1 rather squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to r squared. Now, this equation is incomplete. We need to calculate the value of r. For us to calculate the value of r, we go back to the diagram and look for a point that is along the circumference of the circle, which we know the coordinates. That point is going to be M. We know the coordinates of M, which is 3 and 1. So where there's x, we substitute 3. Where there's y, we substitute 1. So doing so, this is going to be 3 plus 1 squared plus 1 minus 4 squared is equal to r squared. Now this will give us 16 plus 9 is equal to r squared. Therefore, r squared is equal to 25. Now we substitute this value back into this expression, this one. So if I copy it, we have x plus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to, so instead of putting r squared, we put 25 because r squared is equal to 25. And that is the equation of the circle. All right, moving on to 1.2, it says y is angle NQM 90 degrees. So they want to know why is this angle NQM is this angle, this one. Why is it 90 degrees? Why? So now, to explain this, 1.2, now let's draw a circle. And then on this circle, we have a diameter. draw a diameter through the circle. Now, if this is my diameter, it means I have my center there of the circle. So now, there's a theorem that says that if you draw a line from one end of the diameter to the other, the angle that is formed is a 90 degrees angle. So this simply means that that is a 90 degrees angle. So even if you draw another line, let's say this line is drawn from this end and that end, the angle that is formed here is 90 degrees. Even if you draw another one, suppose you draw something like this, like that, the angle formed here is 90 degrees. So because of this, we say that angle in a semicircle is 90 degrees. So the angle that is formed in a semicircle is going to be 90 degrees. But there's a key here. The key is that it has to be a semicircle, meaning that this line must be a diameter. It can't be a chord. It has to be a diameter. And the angle that is formed on the circumference of the circle, not at any point before the circumference of the circle. So suppose if you get something like, let me just give an example. So you draw an angle like this. As much as the angles are subtended from these two ends of the chord, but the fact that this angle is not on the circumference of the circle, we can't say this is 90 degrees. It can't be. So it has to be on the circumference of the circle for this theorem to hold. All right, moving on to 1.3. So 1.3, they're looking for, show that the coordinates of Q are -4 and 0. There's many ways to do this, but one method that I want to use is as follows. From 1.3, we have this equation of the circle, x squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to 25. This is what we got. And then from here, we know from this circle that the coordinates of Q is going to be x and 0. Now, the y value is 0 because Q, it's along the x-axis, and y values along the x-axis are zeros. So therefore, we are going to have those coordinates. Q, it's x and 0. Now, these coordinates, we substitute them into this function because Q lies on the circumference of the circle. Therefore, we substitute these values into that equation. So we will end up with x plus 1 squared plus 0 minus 4. So we put a 0 where there's y. Here we only put an x because it's x on the coordinates of Q. So this is equals to 25. And therefore, we end up with x plus 1 squared plus 0 minus 4 is minus 4 squared is 16, which is equal to 25. So x squared plus 1 squared is equal to 16, 25 minus 16. X plus 1 squared is equal to 16, 25 minus 16, you get 9. Therefore, put a square root sign, both sides. Plus or minus square root of 9. And therefore, x plus 1 is equals to -3, or x plus 1 is equals to +3. Therefore, we solve for x. X is equals to -4, or x is equals to 2. Now, if you look at this diagram, the x value must be negative because hand side of the x-axis. So where the x values are negative. So therefore, we have to take the negative one. So therefore, the coordinates of Q can only be -4 and 0. So we've proven this, we've answered this question. Moving on to the next question. 1.4 says calculate the gradient of mn. So we need to find the gradient of this line, mn. Now, let's talk about collinear points. Collinear points are points that are along the straight line. So if I drew a straight line right now like that, and then I name my points, let me draw the straight line in this way rather. I name my points in this way. I name this point M, I name this point P, and then I name this point N, just like you see them here. Now, these 3 points are on the same straight line, so therefore we say they are collinear. Now, collinear points, it means the gradient of PM should be the same as the gradient of NP, which must also be the same as the gradient of NM. So this is what I mean. So MP must be the same as MPN, which must be the same as MN. This is because N, P, and M are collinear points. Therefore, to answer this question, we don't have to calculate the gradient of Mn directly. If we can calculate the gradient of PM, we can say it's the same as the gradient of Mn, just like that. All right, so now moving on to the section where we're going to solve this. MP is equal to y at M minus y at P, x at M minus x at P. Then we substitute the coordinates. So it's going to be 1 minus 4 over 3 minus negative 1. This is the same as minus 3 over 4. So now that is a gradient of MP. Therefore, the gradient of Mn is equal to gradient of MP. So you say, the reason for this, we say N, P, and M are collinear points. As I've already explained, So therefore, Mn is equal to negative 3 over 4. So 1.5 says, calculate the size of alpha. Alpha is that angle there. All right. So now from this, we can calculate this angle, which is the angle of inclination of line NM. Then from there, we can calculate this angle, which is the angle of inclination of line QM. And then from there, we add this angle and that angle, and then we equate it to that one there. So it'll make sense as we do it. Let's start. Let's get started. So we say tan theta is equals to MN. This is the tangent theorem. So from here, we say, okay, tan of theta is equals to minus 3 over 4. We've calculated it, the angle of, the gradient rather, of Mn, which is negative 3 over 4. So now we say shift tan. Now, when you say shift tan, rather, let me do it this way. You get the reference angle. Reference angle, which is the same as shift tan minus 3 over 4. Now, the answer that you get here is going to be negative. So let me write here, negative. So because this is negative, it means that you need to have your theta will be 180 degrees plus shift tan negative 3 over 4. Now when you put this in your calculator, theta becomes 143.1 degrees. Now that is the angle theta. We're not done solving this. So we proceed. Let me divide this into 2. Okay. And then, so we calculate beta now. Beta is going to be, we need the gradient of QM. We already know the coordinates of Q, which is minus 4 and 0. So QM is equals to YQ minus YM XQ minus XM, which is, now Q, the Y value is 0 minus M is 1 over, and then the X value at Q is minus 4 minus the X value at M is 3. And then this gives us 1 over 7. Okay, so now we calculate beta now. So tan of beta is equals to MQM, which is the same as 1 over 7. Now, the reference angle we say shift tan 1 over 7. Now, this answer is going to be positive. Therefore, beta is just going to be shift tan 1 over 7. Beta is, now when you click shift tan 1 over 7, the answer that you get here is 8.1 degrees. So now angle Q, or rather NQM, is equals to 8.1 degrees plus 90 degrees. Now this 90 degrees here, because we have this line being perpendicular to that line there. So this is an angle that is formed within a semicircle. So therefore, that angle is 90 degrees. We've already proven this. And then this gives us 98.1 degrees. So now, if you look at from triangle NQ, let me introduce a point here. Let me call it A. From triangle NQA, we can say that alpha plus NQA is equals to theta. By the way, this must be A, not M. It must be NQA. So NQA, and therefore we substitute. We have alpha plus 98.1 degrees is equals to 143.1 degrees. And therefore alpha is equals to 143.1 degrees minus 98.1. Now this gives us the answer. Theta is equals to 45 degrees. We'll solve this question. So let's move on to the last part, which is 1.6. 1.6 says determine the equation of the tangents to the circle. So now we need to determine the equation of a tangent to this circle. All right, so since they're saying the tangent, they don't specify which tangent this is. We are going to draw our own tangent. So we want to picture a tangent intersecting at point M. Something like that, yes. And then now we need to find the equation of this line. So when you find the equation of a tangent, you need to know two things. Isn't it? The equation is given by y minus y1 is equals to m x minus x1. You need to know the gradient and one point. So when we introduce this line here, we already know the point, which is m. And then our mission is to find the gradient. But we know that this line, PM, and the tangent are perpendicular. Now, the reason why they're perpendicular is because any angle any intersection between a tangent and a line that passes through the center gives you 90 degrees. So therefore, we are going to say M, the tangent, I'm going to call it M10, times M for PM must give us -1. We already know the slope of PM, which is the same as the slope of MN. The slope of MN is given as -3/4. Therefore, here it's going to be M10 times -3/4 is equals to -1. And then from here, we divide both sides by -3/4. Therefore, M10 is +4/3. Now we substitute. Like I said, we already have a point. Our point is going to be M. So we say Y minus Y1 is equals to M10 X minus X1. Y minus Y1, for Q, Y1 is 1. And then we say 4/3. X minus X1 is going to be 3 at point M. So say 3 there. And then Y is equals to 4/3X. We now FOIL. So we multiply this number into the bracket. So the first part, 4/3 times X, get 4/3X. 4/3 times -3 gives you -4. You can double check this. And then we take this guy to the other side. It becomes a positive number. It becomes a +1. So if Y is equals to 4/3X minus 3, this is the answer to this question. So we've now reached the end of this question. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned something from this. If you have, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. And for those who are new to this channel, please make sure that you share, like, and subscribe. And also, just let your friends know about this channel. Leave a comment here if you have any comment. If you have any question that you'd like to recommend, a question that perhaps you're struggling with, please feel free to recommend it. Just leave a comment. We'll look into it. And then also, there's my contact details in case you want to book. Just use them, make use of them at the end of this video. Thank you so much once again for watching. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.